It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's me, Dukect. And speaking of all the heavenly glory people are missing, this right here is the big thing because we're going to do wild cards and everything else here. I was going to do some stuff and talk about it last week, but I got exhausted. I don't know what happened. But now I'm back. You feel me? I'm feeling much better, feeling a little energy up and positive things. By the way, just on my new Discord, new channel, I'll do this. By the way, if all this other stuff here. By the way, shout out to actually I haven't did this, but before this is like you talked about his first one, it was last week's as Morrowind. And I'm like, well, never played it. I haven't played much of the Elder Scrolls thing for a while. So that's one thing I always talk about. But I did. Addis Artemis Worm. Cool dude, talked about it back in the day and everything else. So I think I will probably like to get back into it. So maybe one day I'll get into Morrowind and all the other places and such. So anyway, by the way, if you want to go into this lovable little Dukect Productions, by the way, here it is. Link here is always here, right here in the chat. As here, if you want to join into the craziness of the Dukect, this right here, the Discord. Join the Discord right there. Link is in the description, right? Not just in the description, but also let me just edit that. Put the description here, here as well. Put it here. The description here. Put it right there, and also on the chat. So if you want to join in, and come into the Discord, a lovable Discord, where we have, you know, you know, again, we talk about this pro wrestling stuff, general topics, sports, and real talk, which has been used a while, movies, video games, music channel, where we just look at this stuff here. Last I posted was a while ago. It was actually Burn the System Bear Court, which is actually not a bad theme. Also, if you find out some good music from wherever you are, wherever you're at, go right there. Promoting channel for all the people who want to promote some really good stuff. Go right ahead. You know, some good stuff here of promoting and everything else from streaming and everything else. Gosh, hey, Grand Slam picks. I haven't updated that in a while. So yeah. I'm gonna probably put that and the Dixie Lounge topics. And you got like voice chats, debate chat, and the live stream, which I am gonna be using more. I'm gonna get back into it. So we're gonna have that and other stuff here, all here in the Duke CT Lounge and the Duke C Productions uh, Discord channel. All right. So let's talk about this new AEW signs multi-year deal with the Warner Brothers Discovery. It has happened, ladies and gentlemen, and people are now, well, a bit mad, a bit frustrated. Some are basically surprised and happy. Me personally, I'm happy that the deal is finally done. And we can all just move on, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to just sit and finally get this thing. They got it done. And let's look at what the deal is. It is supposedly rolling out is going to be a rights renewal. It's going to be the deal is going to be Dynamite and Collision will continue to air on TBS and TNT, also simulcast on Max for U.S. subscribers, which is going to slowly get to worldwide stuff. So beginning on January 25th, on demand available. And the AEW pay-per-views will be discounted rate for Max subscribers. So yeah, I look like I'm going to be still using Thriller or this stuff, unless it's really cheap. So yeah, so anyway, it looks like it's going to be that. Hopefully that dispute the discounted price thing will go away soon, hopefully maybe in a year or two. I want, because again, PLEs or whatever WE has that deal with Peacock and soon to be on Netflix, which let's all be real, Peacock ain't gonna last in a couple of years. I maybe I'm wrong. You can point this podcast out wrong, but I think that's gonna be the same for Max. But that I don't know what's gonna happen. Streaming is a weird thing, but yeah, I think this is gonna be a meter right here. We're gonna have there's gonna be more this Dynamite and Collision gonna be both home on AEW that stuff, and it's gonna be the streaming and such. And the deal supposedly was gonna be like 150 million. Now it's 185 million. I hear, which is good. So a lot. This is the second time I think in a long time the wrestling organization actually is you know actually not just profitable, but also a competitor to WWE. So I'm happy about that. And I think that's the end of the day, it's good. Um, let's see. Ooh, some pleasant stuff here. By the way, some and Collision, some stuff here. Some real interesting stuff by the way in Collision and everything. Oh, by the way, Hologram is in there, so I'm waiting for him to be on Dynamite. By the way, I don't know when he's going to be on Dynamite, so hopefully, Dynamite is going to be Hologram. I want him to be on Dynamite because that man's great. And where is it going to be? What they're going to be, I think the most important thing they could do is basically part to a mask or whatever and everything like that. But anyway, uh, you know, but yeah, this whole thing looks to be really good. Um, he says this about Telecom, they're saying this type of other. They're happy to see this. The CEO, Caitlin Finch, saying, "Oh, this is the first time." They're like all this other stuff. Good, and we can all move on, even though people say the ratings were bad. I'm like, look, I don't care. Most people don't care. 95% of people outside Twitter and everything else don't really give a fuck about ratings, and we shouldn't care about them anyway. I mean, hey, good for NXT to having over 800,000. I hope they continue to grow. Same as AEW, they're growing and everything else. My hope is that they continue to get better. Personally, I wish they get rid of this stupid EVP storyline. End it, and we can all move on from this. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, they could do this, and they are going to be doing this stuff here. The AEW, like I said, the AEW thing is official. It's nice. It's signed. We can all move on from this. And hopefully, the most positive thing here, we can all, the one thing I think we can all agree with is that when this thing is done, maybe they can, I think, start focusing on, my hope is that they have now, because, the money they can do is maybe they can start building Ring of Honor into something like that. Because I don't want to have about NXT too much and everything else, but it did have a nice format of them going to. I think they should have like the Dallas, which was great. I loved it. Them being in Dallas or something. I think they could do maybe some live shows there, or maybe if I really want to do some extra stuff and really get some positive stuff. How about they have a home base for Ring of Honor. And honestly, they did a really good job in Baltimore. I think they could do a nice little home type of thing in Baltimore, you know, that type of arena or whatever, since they did a really good job during the pandemic and such. I think they could really do some good like stuff here in Baltimore. Or they could do like in Florida, a Daly's place, or somewhere in maybe California or maybe somewhere in the Midwest, somewhere they can have a home base for AEW Ring of Honor, have a home base for Ring of Honor, have a home base there, and we could all move on. I think at the end of the day, they could just move on from that. A way we can have a big home base. I'm not saying they need to do a draft or whatever, but just have a way of really fermenting the talent of Ring of Honor and using it as as a proving ground of grit and proving ground of character of not just doing live stuff, but also, like I said, not just doing live. I don't want them just to do a live show. I want them to do um, I want them to do like pay-per-views and such like that in those arenas as well to really to really have connection. I think Athena has done a great job. I think Red Velvet and Billy Starks have done a great job. The women have really helped that product so much. I wish the men could do a little bit better. I think Atlantis Jr. being the TV champion has been. Look, I love to see him out, people. I love him out. Like I love to see him out, people. I do. I do. My terrible Trump impersonation. But yeah, I think CML. I wish he was more on the show, more in storylines, more there to do something there, because I think that is something that has been very lacking so far at this situation. And I think some people would agree with that. And if you want to, come in and talk about that, by the way, if you want to get into the show and talk about all of that here and everything else here, let me just get the link to this to the site here to make else. The Discord is right there. You want to get in, but if you really went into the show, the live show, as always, the link will be right here. Let me just get the stuff here. I should have done this before the show. Well, but hey, live and learn, live and learn. Anyway, no, here's the link right here to call into the show. right there. And let me just put that in the pin. We're gonna pin this message right there. Right there. If you want to call into the show, you got your headset, you got your microphone, you want to call into the show and talk about this subject and the other subject that we're going to be doing this soon, you can go ahead and talk about this as well. But yeah, I think Ring of Honor, this should be the main thing, and I think there should be more. For the Ring of Honor trios, tag team. By the way, I'm thankful. Thank goodness Sammy Guevara is okay. I heard that he suffered a nasty fall. He got knocked out. Same as another wrestler as well. I think let me just see who's that other wrestler. I believe both of them are a-okay. So I'm happy to see that. I'm so he was knocked out, but yeah, he's walked around in his old power. He's good, and the other wrestler as well. He does. She's fine. She was walking around and everything else. And I hope that they both get back soon and everything else. So yeah, I'm happy about that. But yeah, I think that the best solution here is like I said, Ring of Honor should be the proving ground or people to freshen themselves up. You know, I think someone I think these things here, and I think a lot of people, as much as I like Ring of Honor, it feels like it's just like NXT light. It needs, and I think this is a problem with the energy. I think Lewis said this on Twitter. I think you said this. Let me just put this here. Um, Let me just put this here. I think he the right here said it best here. Right here. Just seeing the energy between Will Thomas and Joe Kabasi's like they need a full creative reboot because the show is currently a nothing burger. And two, they should go super indie, bringing fans that care about the product. And as far as I could drill on why Athena and Velvet are somewhere else shadow banned from AEW, lack of champions on Ring of Honor TV, too many squashes. But those exactly. This needs to change, and this has been a current problem with Ring of Honor as well. And I hopefully that means that they're going to try to fix this. And I want them to fix it because this show, Ring of Honor, has the potential to be something great. I love the fact that women are basically important on this show. I love the fact that there's other characters. Beef is getting some love. I think they need to have a consistent place to go, and once they do, I truly think once they have a consistent place to go, a consistent place um to actually start being in a place of structure like they did doing this stuff. And I think like I said, hopefully Sammy's good enough to go back to tag teams and such. I think they could. I think right now once they start building themselves up to that, and honestly, I think maybe have like maybe Top Flight did really well. I think maybe have Top Flight be in Ring of Honor for a while. I think to have Top Flight stay in Ring of Honor, be one of those guys to build themselves up. I think they should stay in Ring of Honor for a while, and build themselves up. And I think some like make them to the next people to build. And honestly, I say you build Action Andretti to really use that focus, or maybe Leo Rush, since he did do a good, like he was up there in the Britain, I think won the British Cup there. Why not him challenge Mark Briscoe and win, or maybe Action Andretti, and maybe this could pass some friction or something. Do something like that. I think if you could do something there with Ring of Honor, because I hate the fact that it needs to do something more. You know, I think it's hmm. I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of people really want uh, uh, Ring of Honor better, and hopefully with the money, they actually start putting a consistent focus, a consistent way of doing it. And I think that will be the end of the day, a very smart way to do it. I want them to do it. And if it is, um, you know, hmm, that should have. I think at the end of the day, they should do that. I think that should be the most important thing. That's my personal opinion. I want to hear what you have to say because I think if you do that, ladies and gentlemen, I think overall people would be like, yes, I think people would be happy to see that. Hmm. So yeah, my hope is, my hope, ladies and gentlemen, is that AEW and Ring of Honor continue to get stronger, and I think hopefully they start building their stuff up. And yeah, that's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I want to hear what you have to say about that, and want to hear your thoughts are from the chat room, via the chat or the Discord. You put that right there if you want to talk to me about that and other places as well. So yeah, um, that is something we all need to do. That's something I think we all have. That's what I feel like. Anyway, speaking of all this stuff up here, of retirement, everyone getting all wackadoo craziness. Let's get into something that has been really been up here. I want to talk about this subject here. Toxic to fandoms. Oh, the Lord. Well, fandom, let's be honest, fan is short for fanatic. So here we are. This is what it is. And how are they going to do this? This is right here. What's going on of how to do this situation with toxic fandom. I mean, like I said, fandom is short for fanatic. So I mean, it's always had fandoms. Always, it's since its beginning, it's always been a toxic and just nasty thing. And this article right here, um, you had other people right here post an 8.5 minute video on the Instagram stories about Lucasfilm's erupt decision not to pick up a show and everything. And this is a person that she started talking about the hyper conservative bigotry, vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language and such. Yeah, this was video, and she was not available for the story. And a lot of it says they act like it was target of toxic fandom. Me personally, there were people who always are going to be that toxic stuff. Some might have some reasonable criticisms, and there have been reasonable criticisms of the show. Me personally, I saw a couple episodes, and I'm like, I wasn't feeling it, and I just move on and I talk about it. I think that's to me, a lot of people needs to stop doing that. I think at the end of the day, that I always like, I know I used to maybe I'm gonna one day start doing video reviews again. It's like I want to do more positive stuff, and the positive things are good, and even things that need to be rough around the edges and stuff like that. Bad is just stuff like who are just totally not really if it hurts you that much, and I know it gets you views. It gets you a ton of views, ladies and gentlemen, to be like all this other stuff. And I get it. It gets you views, gets the money in. But the problem, and I'm always gonna say this, the problem is just, well, the problem, ladies and gentlemen, as always, is just like eventually you're gonna be it's just gonna be tiresome. You're going to get eventually emotionally and physically just exhausted. And you're not going to really recognize all the good stuff and things around you that's good. You won't recognize your blessings, if you just be in that toxic space for so long to the point you're just like, you have to yell and scream and call things evil stuff and things are just mid. I just don't watch, like, I think at the end of the day, I think wish there were more people who just did not watch this stuff. But again, the YouTube algorithm and everything else, it's that type of negativity shoots up. It shoots up that type of stuff, and then the reactions. Then you have RedTube with their 3 hours of content of that's all the videos and everything. It gets to the point of just a feedback loop of it. And honestly, it's just so exhausting. And I feel bad for the people who have to go through this crap. And yeah, I was a part of that stuff, and I'm trying not to be the part of that stuff. I mean, heck, maybe a little bit of it because I go do a nice little video stream and everything else there, talking about, having a little giggle at the movies or whatever. But I'm like, it's fine. I'm like, it's not, that type of stuff. It's not negativity, real negative stuff. Like, but just pointing out fun or whatever. And some of the movies are really bad, and that's fine. I always like pointing out the movies that are really, really bad and all that stuff. And then hey, it's a nice little, drive-in. That's the thing we go, drive-in and everything else. The drive-in monster, and such. I keep forgetting names. I'm weird. I'm sorry, but yeah. I just think that the most important thing about this is trying to like fun type of stuff to really hatred like vitriol shit. Like, there's people who just like you need to go like, oh, this person needs to be on a watch list type of thing. So yeah, it's sucks that it is. And then you got like, yeah, so it comes to the territory. But yet you feed on toxic stuff. The corporations and such have been doing that for years and such. Let me just see some let's see. I'm gonna look this up because I remember let's see. Um let's see. I knew I let me see. Let's see. I think there was using there's this, yeah, yeah, the other. I know they gosh, I knew there was something. I had to look this stuff up here. Let's see. Um ooh, let's see here. I know it's somewhere. Let's see. Because I know it's somewhere. It's because I remember there was a video about this, a nice not video but article about all of this, and I think that is something really messed up. Actually, let's see, where is it? I think it's here. I think I saw something like that. Let me just see if I can find. Let's see, where is it? The source here. It was from the episode. I think Summer News Baby. That was like years ago. Let's see. Where is it? And we get let's see. It has to be okay. There it is. There it is. I think I found the thing here. I think it is. Let me see. Let's see this thing here and right here. I think I've got it here. Share this tab right here. Boom. This was a couple of years ago. Yep, there was a Save Spider-Man thing, and people use this. Yep, the vitriol heading Sony's way about it. This was back in 2019. It's been, it's. I know, feel like it's how years ago. It's like, but it's 5 years ago, not that long ago. Because again, you look at this, it seems like Disney started stoking the fire, and now here it is. You pour gasoline on the fire, and look what happens when you use this type of stuff. Twitter bots have been using this. The bots have been used. Yeah, yeah. You know what? They have, again, Facebook, all this other stuff. Like, Sony and Spider Man. Like, oh, you got to bring it home to MCU. I'm like, geez, look, Sony is Sony when it comes to the terrible stuff with Spider-Man. And it just so much. And a lot of it is people who are pissed off at it. And this right here is because of the Twitter bots and all this other stuff and being used by these corporations and such. And because they were a member of this stuff happening, because Sony, hey, they signed over this deal years ago, and they're like, hey, man, we're just saying this is it's not working. We're gonna move on from them, and there you go. People are pissed off that Spider-Man ain't gonna be in the MCU. Then they had to get a deal. It looks like they finally got a deal done, but then this stuff happens. So when you have this stuff happening, ladies and gentlemen, well, this is what is going to be the results of it. And we just look, see, and you wonder why this stuff is happening. You wonder why this stuff happens. You look at the toxic fandoms and every little thing here, and then you look at here, you wonder why there's all this toxic fandoms and everything else. The Last Jedi, the stuff is the boys and what all this other stuff. You stoke the fires, and now here you are. And but it's not, they've been always this way. I mean, heck, the whole thing started right around 2014 and 15 about all this stuff going on, about this whole white genocide stuff, which a lot of these people were actually complaining about. And these online people, the internet folk, got all pissed off at that. And next thing you know, this stuff here is all over the damn place. You got all this woke got all this other stuff. You see Bridgerton. I never watched the show, but I know people were pissed off that a black woman has a love interest of Francesca and everything. You know, they don't like the fact, and I personally have I'm disagree. I'm not against that. I am against that. Bridgerton counts black women with their white women. It just seems like it's like me personally. I feel like they want like man, oh, black women can be just as imperialistic as the white people are. It's just like, it's just weird fan fiction, This weird type of fan fiction and everything else. I mean, if it's good, I'm like fine, but it's just like there are like stories in Africa or in other like other in places that has like black queens and princesses and everything else about that, and strong women, strong black women. And I feel like they're just gone off on the wayside, and we have to make up these people here, and it's just so sad that they have to keep doing that. That Hollywood has to like put them in these like fictional white places to say, see, they matter and everything else. Just like it's just weird hypocrisy, just weird, like playing down to the like, just like a childish thing. We're not getting our own stories. We won't get our own stories, black men, black women, all that type of stuff. We don't get our own stories, but instead, guess what? We'll piggyback on someone else's story, which I don't know. It just screams just like we want to be a part of the party too, and it's like we don't need to be a part of that party. We have our own party. We have our own culture, lore, and history, and everything else. It's kind of like we have to forget that, and just like it's please, we are just as as that and the other instead of looking within ourselves and everything else. It's kind of sad and depressing. And then that's what I feel like. It's just like, come on, man. But you know what? Fine. You have Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, which I didn't care for. I honestly hate the fact that I'm just doing the Lord of the Rings thing over again because I'm just like, can't y'all find something new instead of just like spending over $1 billion just to do this thing? And I mean, Amazon's gonna be just fine, but they're the Walmart of the internet. But I'm like, really? Y'all don't need to. And then all the stuff that Leslie Jones had to go through with the 2016 Ghostbusters, which sadly, I feel like that movie didn't. I think Paul Feig really did drop the ball on that. I think they could have done something really good with those characters, but just did not. The movie was not good. The vast and exactly. I think this is pretty much true. The vast majority of any fandom are casual fans, says John V. Critters, a VP of Star Trek brand development. It is a quote here. Number of people who live and die on their franchise are very, very few, and then those who come after things that they espouse love of with Venom are a really, really tiny subset of the already smaller subset of fandom. It's just much easier to see it now. I don't know that it's really that much broader than where things were in 1995. Just the bullhorn wasn't there, and they know a lot of people were hating on Star Trek, the next generation. Picard, they hated all of them. They hated all of it. But and to be fair, the show was crap. But let's be honest, with the little blinks of gold nuggets there, but it was mostly crap. But then season 3 came around, they started getting better. Season 4, season 5, season 6, and it became one of the best shows in the Star Trek history. Everyone loved it now, and they got a chance to improve. And sadly, most of these shows right now don't get a chance to improve because it's a one hit or quitter. I mean, The Acolyte could have had a good show, could have been something great. The first season could have stumbled and bumbled, but yeah, it could have been something really good, interesting for the Star Trek, and then I know but Star Wars. Oh gosh, I know people threw off, but yeah, there could have been something really great. Instead, it's just like it was just one season, and they put all that money in them too. I mean, holy crap, the money behind these shows. Honestly, I think it's out of I don't know why they're putting all this money behind these shows, man. It's like money laundering or something. I don't know. But yeah, they said it's probably when it's negative toxic things we don't even engage as a TV marketing executive. Like when toxic people you try to give not to give too much oxygen. They say, and I think that is good because if you go too in the well of negativity, and I've been there too, you see only the faults, not any actually the positive. It can, you'll be like, okay, even if you do something that's good, it can mess you up. You see that, and I think if you, that's what it happens. And yeah, and it's just really, really just a just how they did all this stuff here. Just as the negative, but yet they become so much of a fact and everything else. They said it's just a lose lose, and they're trying not to provoke them to stand up for Fuko. Now they're doing a specialized cluster of super fans to access the proper marketing materials for a major franchise product. They just wanted a job. Most of these people are just looking for a job, and it looks like they might got it. So, and to be fair, in the interest of fairness, there are sometimes the people in the studio and the directors, they have no idea what they're doing, and they don't the same problems of um comic books and right now too. Reason why Marvel is in this bad place. Like, don't read the comics, don't read get connect to the characters or whatever. And if you don't have anything that connects with the characters or don't have anything like that, like you just do whatever, there's a reason why a lot of those things fail. And the same thing for, people just don't watch the shows anymore. You might get a dedicated following, but then it just falls off. They just like, oh, it's big, and it just completely goes down, down, down. I have not cared for Agatha all along. I mean, it got a nice premiere, but I just like, I couldn't rock with the show. I feel like when you look at something like the Penguin, there's love and craft in that world, and respect to it. Like, yeah, that stuff there. And I think what Matt Reeves is doing is good. And I have faith in James Gunn could do good for the DC. And let's see what else. What else? I mean, and I think Kevin Feige in the beginning of the MCU really understood the characters of that type of story and everything else. But I think now, I think he's like any. I think personally, like I say, like anything else, he's great. But like with Belichick, or like in the NFL, you have Belichick or Nick Saban in Alabama, or the old managers and all that type of stuff. Like, it's time for y'all. Like, you know what, you did great, you're awesome, but it's time for you to go. I think it's sometimes you need to get new ideas in from maybe the fan base, maybe so someone else in there saying that type of stuff, and it looks like they are panicking Marvel is panicking with the whole thing to Doom. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? It's depressing and sad. They're just scrambling and such. And I don't think there was a super cluster of super fans that sat there and said, yes, pay Robert Downey Jr. and the Russo brothers uh, the same GDP of I don't know, Australia to do movies again. I don't think most super fans will look at that and saying no. They'll be like, hold up, no, you don't need to do all this. Just finish up the Kang stuff, and then slowly go to sequels to really do a relaunch and stuff. Don't rush in and do anything else. That's just bad stuff from the director. Who is doing that there? I guarantee you, if it was like me and some other people, would have been like, no, no, we don't want this. But yeah. So they just tell us you do that, and then there's people who saying, look, they're giving fans who retaliate. If it's early enough and the movies isn't finished yet, they can change and all this stuff, which is okay, fine. But I don't want to get too much into the fandom. They're gonna make it boring or whatever. But then, like I said, sometimes these people are like, you don't need to, go too extra about it. Like, man, this show's bad, and maybe someone should have reined them in, because sometimes some artists and some directors, they can go so far, they're so great, they might not be, like I said, there's some of them are bad. And I think that should be in some cases they are. And that's what I feel like, they can be bad. But yeah, I can see the negatives this too, because like it can be so much, they get so tied into the lore and this, that, and the other, and it's not really good or anything else. It's just a slop. They can't really do anything, and you're connected just to do this thing, that thing, and that's it. That's the problem. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like they should do. Hmm. But that's just me. That is just me. Um, but that's just my personal opinion. And then the article says they're going to do a boot camp. They're just saying when the characters like, yeah, exactly. They're very vocal and everything else, saying stereo studios often put their time through social media boot camp. In some cases, when a character is intentionally challenging a franchise status quo, studios will, with the actual permission, take over their social media accounts entirely. When things get really bad, especially throughout exactly, security firms will scrub time information from the internet, just like saying we're done. Just that's it. So yeah, I mean, there were tons of racist people. I'm not surprised by that, because a lot of people, hundreds of people who are hundreds, maybe even more, doing a lot more. Again, there are people who go extra that stuff. So yeah, and there are people who do, who go out there. And I hate the fact people say, it's fine. And then when the stuff gets real and someone attacks someone and someone gets hurt or killed because of this, they're like, oh well, there's not mine. No, you put that stuff out there. They're like, hey, they're protecting the people, which is the bullying and everything else. Yeah, and then there were people who did do all this horrible stuff, who said horrible things, harassed, abused all the people of people there, and it's not really surprising. That's just is, and people might like season. I mean, when you start threatening people for this stuff, it's just always. I always say that if you start threatening people's lives with that stuff, you gotta need to calm down. And then I think at the end of the day, I think right here, the smart thing to do right here is Elizabeth Olsen said this. The one other way is to stay off it. I'm not online, so I'm protected. Generally, it's a lot of positive experience of making kids happy. I ignore the other stuff, and that's true. Just log off and just don't deal with it. Don't talk about it, and get log off, which is probably the best thing you could do. Yeah, that's probably the best thing you could do. The smart thing to do is, um, yeah, Exactly. So yeah, they're always, you know, like I said, some people are saying this, that, the other, but yeah, I hope that people could just really, and also make sure that people, and I'll say this again, make sure that people, the people, are just, you know, are okay, make sure they're not, going all, going off and, you know, but yeah, make sure people don't go over the edge and everything else. And such. I mean, personally, I think the best solution for these actors and everything else is probably go offline. But also, there needs to be a bit more, better moderation so people who, behind these bots or whatever, don't have the companies use them to push an agenda, which is something I think that should be, looked on as well. Something heavily looked on, saying that type of stuff, but also make sure these bots, because there's a lot of them. Because I mean, there's a lot of them coming from other countries. They need to do something really good about security about that, and make sure no one is threatening and using their information. They cannot hurt them or maybe hurt their family or whatever. So yeah, so I think people need to just chill, whatever. And personally, like I said, I will say this right here: calm down. Don't watch. I have not watched. If I wasn't feeling the acolyte, I just turned off and said that was it, and I moved on with my life. Same thing if I acted all along. Watch a couple episodes, wasn't feeling it, stop watching. Um, the Batman, the Penguin show, love it, and I keep watching. If the shows, I'm like, well, if I'm like, for example, this is what I do when I watch wrestling. Gets back to wrestling, by the way. um, I haven't watched a full episode of Raw. I watch snippets on Twitter, and I sometimes turn on Raw for a second. I think the last I did the main event, but a full episode of Monday Night Raw from 8 to 11, uh, since the pandemic, and I haven't watched a full episode of SmackDown in a while as well. So I think at the end of the day, the best solution for this and the best solution for everybody is just sit there and say, hey, you know what? If it's not for me, why sit and watch hate watching and such? If AEW ain't clicking with me, I'm not gonna watch. I some episodes I missed Rampage. I was like, I can skip this Rampage. I can skip this Collision if I'm not feeling it. Say I can skip Dynamite. I can skip this Ring of Honor episode. You understand what I'm saying, ladies? Do you feel me? Do you feel me? This is how it is, man. You feel me? Ring of Honor. If I don't like the Ring of Honor show, I might. If I really don't like it, I just delete the stop paying them and such. But if I sit there, I'm like, hey, I'm liking it. I like Eric Kabani and Caprice Coleman. Good commentating girl. Even if it isn't like God, they have such great chemistry. Good stuff. Always represent. Good stuff right there. Always have been. Um, if I'm not liking it, I don't watch. I don't talk about it. I think we need to bring that back. Not everything has to be posted online and everything else. I know it's hard out here. It's hard to get a stable job right now. It's hard to find something that's actually something that will be like, okay, here's something stable, something that people will say, hey, you know what, this is going to be a stable job for me, for my family, everything else here. And hey, some people can make money off that YouTube thing. Some people like to have that YouTube stuff. Some people like to have that thing and everything else here. But at the end of the day, man, that stuff can drill your soul. You gotta come back, leave that stuff out, man. Gotta get outside of that stuff. And I think at the end of the day, I think at the I think the one thing you have to realize, I think a lot of people have to realize is that, and I truly believe this in my heart of hearts, is that once you put you find things you enjoy and look at stuff you enjoy, I think you'll be a better overall. And if you're trying to do this YouTube channel, you do with the negative stuff, and you get to that point, it's going to affect you mentally all over the place. You're not going to see any joy around you. Not going to see any joy around the family and friends and everything else. Always look at the positives, man. You gotta look at sometimes the positive stuff. You never know. And when I do start up my video things again, I'm gonna look at the positives more often than that. Sure, I mean the bad stuff is there. There's always gonna be bad stuff. Even when gaming was great, there was always bad games, and there's more of them now because gaming has become such a predatory, you know, endless cash and endless stuff here. You know, even Nintendo, slips a bit, all that type of stuff. But more often than not, there are some really good games out there. There's some really good stuff out there. People seem to forget about that. And I think at the end of the day, people need to sit back, relax, and look at the more positive stuff. Because if you don't, well, what happens when you don't? What happens when you don't? You become so negative. You become so bad. You become so, um, there's nothing good anymore. That sort of thing. I think at the end of the day, people need to find things that make them feel joyful because right now, I think a lot of people from all sides of the whole political spectrum and fandom and everything else, it's all about spite and now about how all this thing racks up together. People are like, TV deal, like it's gonna kill AW and I win, and all they win. I'm like, I am just tired of that stuff, man. I'm tired of it. It's just negative. I know it brings you clicks. I know it brings you like all the stuff here. But at the end of the day, you gotta sit back and say, am I actually doing something good? Am I being positive? Am I actually bringing in stuff here? If not, then what's the point? Am I being more positive to the discourse or being negative to the discourse? And I know some people might point out some people, but maybe the people who get angry at I point them out, maybe they'll look and say, maybe I am the problem. And I can look and say some within myself to fix this problem. And I think at the end of the day, if you start looking within yourself and start fixing the problems, you might have a better chance of being whole. Uh, and being more emotionally and physically and spiritually better than just being on the negative stuff here, because the negative stuff can drive you insane. And yeah, that's pretty much it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for sticking with me, Dixie T. As always, peace and love. I'll see y'all when I see y'all later. Ah, dang, stupid bugs. Just ruined everything for me. Ah, gosh. I don't know what's going on here. Gosh, I had a great ending and it just ruined it. Ah, bugs. The stupid bugs. Anyway, see y'all when I see y'all later.